What's going on, family and friends? Um, I'm so excited today because it's our first TV show review instead of a movie, and we're discussing The Mandalorian finally. Because I have been putting this off for a long time, but I finally finished the first season, and we had to talk about it, of course, right, Mr. Lucas?
Of course.
Yes. So right off the bat, I think we should address our level of affinity for Star Wars. How would you rate yourself as a fan? Like 0 being casual, 10 being Comic Con, Boba Fett, the works.
Yeah.
Read every novel.
Uh,
Fan.
so yeah, if I'll just go with the A and S tier thing again.
Okay.
I if S tier is like go to Comic Con, dress up. I've read all the books and comics, and I know everything about Star Wars. Then I would say I'm probably like B tier. Like I
Okay.
know a good amount more than like the average person, more than like the average Star Wars fan, probably. And yeah, I love Star Wars. I'm interested in most things Star Wars. Uh, but yeah, that's I'd say I'm comfortable at B tier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Um, yeah, I was gonna use instead of S tier and A tier, I was gonna go off of Dragon Ball Z power levels in the Cell Saga. Uh, so, so like you said, if Super Saiyan 2 Gohan is S tier,
Mm-hmm.
then I would be like a Piccolo or a Vegeta
Mm-hmm.
in the Cell Game Saga. So way more than a Yamcha casual,
Yeah.
but not I'm not beating up Cell or
Yeah.
anything.
Well, you helped defeat him.
I did have that clutch
Yeah.
throw. I could maybe like if we were doing a Star Wars trivia, I might have that like one piece of knowledge
Mm-hmm.
that the other one that the S tier people might forget, but I remembered because of an action figure or something. That's my role.
I love it. It's great.
All right. So then, uh, so a quick kind of summary of the plot.
Mm-hmm.
How would you summarize the plot
So
with no spoilers?
with no spoilers, I would say it's a story about a bounty hunter who ends up finding a young alien child who causes him to question his role in the galaxy and shift kind of what he's doing a little bit. And that whole shift takes him on a different path and all sorts of adventures and conflicts.
Yes, we should probably note that the child is his first bounty we see in the show.
Yes, or his
So,
second bounty.
or second.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah, sure. The big one.
the first big
The
one.
the first big one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So
gotta say that because I know the S tier fans will be commenting.
yeah. Sorry, yes, guys and gals.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So yeah, good summary.
Mhm.
All right, and then as far as answering our question that we like to do of who this show is for, who would watch this, who would enjoy this,
Mhm.
do you think?
So, I would say if you're a Star Wars fan, I think you'll enjoy this. Um, I think that if you're a fan of sci-fi, maybe westerns, that you'll enjoy this. It's definitely got a lot of that going on. I think it's got a broad appeal, in my opinion. I think that a lot of people will find it enjoyable. It's not for everybody, but not in the way that I would say that if I thought it was bad. So
Hmm.
I think it has broad appeal, and most people would enjoy it.
Okay. Yeah. I think I'd agree with that. Those Star Wars fans, if for some reason you haven't seen this yet, watch it.
Hmm.
Sci-fi, Western, fantasy fans who already have Disney Plus,
Hmm.
you should watch this, probably.
Hmm.
Give it a shot. Casual people, Yamchas out there. Um, so one, I did want to talk about people who have Disney Plus versus other streaming services already. So if you're a Star Wars fan who doesn't have Disney Plus for some reason, that's kind of weird, but I think that person would enjoy this for sure because they're already a Star Wars fan. But if you're someone who doesn't have Disney Plus yet, I don't think The Mandalorian would be the thing to get you to buy Disney Plus over another streaming service. And so that's one thing I wanted to clear up out there because it's not like you can just pay to rent it. You got to pay for the whole kit and caboodle. So yeah. So for some reason, this would be your jam, but you don't have Disney Plus yet. I don't know why, but I don't know if I would recommend it necessarily.
Yeah.
For everybody else, if you're in the middle or on the fence of something, I think if you're someone who, like me, really likes kind of character-driven plots, and for me, I'll just say it's hard for me to get into a show if within the first 2 episodes I don't relate or have some kind of emotional attachment to the character or the situation the character's in. If that doesn't grab me, it's like I don't think I want to watch this. And that's why it took me so long to even start this show, because the first 2 episodes I was like, I don't care about any of this.
Now, yeah, and for context, by the way, we need to clarify, we're talking about today season 1 of The Mandalorian.
Only season 1, yeah.
Just season 1. And for context, you didn't watch The Mandalorian until recently, right?
Yeah, I saw the first 2 episodes like shortly after it came out, and I stopped. And then I had a good chat with my buddy Jim. Shout out to Jim, S tier guy for sure. We had a long chat, and he got me to. I gave him my word that before I see him next, I will have watched at least one more episode of The Mandalorian, and then I ended up finishing the first season.
Nice.
And then I called you.
A man of your word.
I am. Yeah, I still haven't seen him. He doesn't know I'm doing this.
Well, this one's for you, Jim.
This is for you, Jim. Yeah, Jim made a lot of this stuff happen.
That's great. I love it.
So he's like the sponsor of the episode.
Thank you, Jim. I would say, yeah. So for context for me, I watched it right when it came out. I was really excited at the time that it came out because I had just gotten done I don't remember, did it come out before or after Rise of Skywalker?
I want to say before, because I feel like it was a fall-ish show.
I think you're right.
And Rise of Skywalker was December.
Yeah, I think you're right. I had become, and still am, relatively speaking, very jaded with the Disney Star Wars franchise. And we'll definitely go into that in a different video. But I was very disappointed and just kind of, just very disenchanted. And so when I saw that The Mandalorian was coming out, I was very cautiously optimistic. And I actually didn't want to watch it at first, just for fear that it was going to be the same thing. But a really good friend of mine got Disney Plus. I didn't have Disney Plus at the time. Really good friend of mine got Disney Plus and invited us over to watch it every Friday that it came out. And so I went over with some hesitation, but was pleasantly surprised and really enjoyed myself. It wasn't, the most amazing thing ever, and I don't think it would. I don't think it ranks on the same level as other Star Wars movies that are broadly considered to be the best. Definitely not the originals. I don't think it's on the same level as some games and alternative media. And I know this will be divisive, but I also don't think it's on the same level as the prequels.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know.
All right. That's
controversial.
We're going to get into that later. I'm the prince of controversial Star Wars opinions.
I love it. You are, aren't you?
Yeah. C-3PO. Yay, Jar Jar.
Oh, man. There's like everybody that was watching this just stopped watching right there.
Sorry, guys. Well, I can explain that later.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, not this video.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So if you're, what was I even talking about when we got into this? I was saying, story driven.
Yes, character driven.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're into like characters and and that kind of thing, I think it might be hard for you to get into. It was really hard for me to get into. People kept telling me consistently, like, you got to get to episode 4, and then it starts to pick up, and I'm like, that's still like 2 more hours I have to watch, and I could watch something else. So it was really hard for just my viewing habits to want to continue. Although, you know, if your temperament's different than mine, maybe you could just be into it right away. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But I think if you're really into like the story and the whys of what's happening and like getting your heart invested into what's going on, it's gonna be rough at the beginning.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we should just jump right into maybe some reasons why we differ, and we can
spoiler
yeah,
time.
engage the spoiler warning
Okay.
for that. Engage.
It just flashed on the screen.
There it is. Beware.
Beware. All right. So lead us off into spoiler land.
Sure. So yeah, I would say one of the reasons that I enjoyed it so much is I think that it does a good job of recreating some of what made the original Star Wars so great, and does it in a way that's successful when compared to, and maybe part of the reason I enjoyed it so much was because I felt like it was closer to OG Star Wars than what Disney did. And so I was just already on an emotional low, and then something came out that was a little better than it, and I was like, oh my gosh, they can do something right. So that could have factored into it. I readily admit that. But if I'm trying to be objective, I think that it's just a good, it's just like a fun, lighthearted formula for enjoyable TV for me. It's the kind of thing where I know a lot of people talk about like turning off your brain and just being entertained. That's hard for me to do with a lot of movies. This is the kind of thing where I felt like I was able to do that and just have fun, just because I love the Star Wars atmosphere and everything. I love, so if I'm going to get into specifics then, I love the fact that the showrunners have fleshed out the Mandalorian race and have really brought up some of the Clone Wars lore and kind of made it fully realized in the show. I love the Code of Honor. I love the fact that the Mandalorian's kind of like this Wild West, I don't want to say outlaw, but he's like a kind of like a drifter, like a bounty hunter, and they play off of that. That's super fun for me. I like the dynamic that is kind of created with the child and him, and how he has to take on kind of like a adoptive fathering role. Yeah, that stuff's super fun for me, and it's enough emotional, I don't know, buy-in, I guess, for me to be engaged without being, you know, like a super fan of the show. Like I don't have to see what happens, but it's something where I'm like, oh, this would be fun to watch. I don't know if that all didn't get into many spoilers, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah. So the reason I couldn't continue past episode 2 for the longest time. So similar to you, I was pretty like disappointed with how Disney Star Wars was going. It was just seemed so like commercialized and not authentic to story, or even faithful to the art of storytelling, in favor of just being whatever it wanted to be, for whatever reason the producers wanted it to be that way. So, yeah, so that was this. Star Wars did not have that. It didn't have much going in its favor with me. So by the time Rise of Skywalker came out, I actually enjoyed watching it because I turned my brain off and had no expectations for anything. I'm just like, all right, they're like going over here and blowing stuff up. Yeah, that's cool. This movie's not very good at all, but like, all right, cool, yeah. Oh, and then they kissed at the end. Why? That's stupid, but whatever. Just It's like when you watch, I don't know, like the end of Twilight or something, and all this crazy stuff's happening, and you're like, "There's nothing about this is very
Oh,
good," but it's just wild and crazy, and just have a fun time with it. So that was my attitude at the
good
time.
for
So
you. That's great.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I didn't have it in me to hate Rise of Skywalker because I just didn't have any feelings about Star Wars by that point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was apathetic toward it. So
Mm.
so there. So hopefully things would have gone better. I think by the time I watched it, I think there had been that interview or that video of Dave Filoni talking about the importance of the Duel of the Fates in Episode 1, which was a very cool speech he gave. If you haven't seen that, it's part of the behind the scenes or something on Disney Plus of The Mandalorian. I just watched these clips on YouTube. You can look that up as well. But the way Dave Filoni talks about Star Wars made me so excited, like more excited than I've been since I was like 9 years old about Star Wars. It was just so cool. He has such a great understanding of characters and relationships between everybody that I was like, oh man, like if this guy's making a Star Wars thing, I should probably watch it because it's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was part of why I decided to watch it in the first place and kind of give it a chance. So so then I had this expectation of like, oh, character stuff's going to be really cool. And then I watched the first episode. I'm like, okay, he like did a job and he found a baby. And when it got to the end of the first episode and they said something about it being 50 years old, I'm like, I bet you that's a Baby Yoda thing. And then it was. And I'm like, ha, gotcha. And so I'm like, okay, maybe there's some mysterious thing with the Jedi going on. I don't know. I can't wait to find out what's going on here. And the second episode, he's on some dirt planet again, and this is where I did not enjoy the second episode at all. Is he lands on some thing, he talks to some guy on a farm for some reason. I don't know why he was there, and then and he's like, you have to learn how to ride this thing. And he's like, I don't have to learn how to ride that because I'm a Mandalorian. And then he learns to ride it anyway. And then the Jawas come and steal his ship. And let me tell you, I don't care about Jawas at all. Like, I know some people watched it and they're like, oh, Jawas, what a cool throwback to stuff. And I'm like, when I watched A New Hope, I every time I just can't wait for the Jawa scene to be over. I don't care about those things. I just don't care.
Jared, you're going to
Well,
draw
that was
so
not-
much ire.
I know. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just trying to be honest. So what I'm really interested in with Star Wars is the Jedi Order, their relationship to the government, because I'm really into like martial arts, and so just how they kind of blend in aspects of real life martial arts into this sci-fi space story. That's really cool to me. And and that's why Episode 1's fun for me, because I love the way Qui-Gon Jinn talks. Like, he's my favorite Star Wars character. So I'm really into that aspect of Star Wars, the piloting and shooting spaceships and stuff. And it's like, it's fine. I kind of gloss over it, but I'm always into like the character stuff, the meaning of this action versus that action, who's right and who's wrong. Like that's what really gets me into Star Wars. And by the time like you get to Revenge of the Sith, the Obi-Wan and Anakin fight's just so emotional for me. Just knowing everything that's on the line and how things play out later, that stuff is so cool to me. Most of my interest, I guess, is related to character dynamics, and I'm really into like the nature of the Jedi and their role in things in the bigger universe, and their relationship to the Force. The Force is like the big thing in Star Wars. So if you're a Mandalorian who's not really Force sensitive, that's not really a character I would normally be into. So like when people were into Boba Fett, my understanding of that whole history of Boba Fett being really cool is because Vader said no more disintegrations or whatever. Everyone just assumed that Boba Fett was this really cool guy. He's dangerous and badass and all that. And then that's why he got popular. But me as a kid watching that, I'm like, all right, he's a guy. And then he fell into this sandworm hole. I don't care about what he's doing. So that's my pre-existing relationship with Mandalorians in general. Yeah. Jango Fett was kind of cool in episode 2, and it's like, whatever. He's fine. So yeah, so go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, so you think the most interesting part about Star Wars for you is kind of the mythos around like the light side and the dark side, and a lot of how they deal with good and evil and the personal struggles with those things. Am I hearing you right?
Mm-hmm.
When you say that?
Yeah, that's a fair summation.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that that's actually some of what's missing from The Mandalorian, at least season 1, because I was really excited, and still am, mind you, excited for the potential for storytelling with a character like The Mandalorian. So I know a lot of people who love like the Disney Star Wars trilogy talk about how it's a little edgier, and it talks a little bit more about like the gray side and things in between light and dark, relativism, all that other stuff. What I think is a staple in the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy is, and in my opinion, the best media outside of the movies, is that struggle with light and dark, like you're talking about, and the personal inner struggle with the dark side and trying to overcome it and have self-control and all that other stuff. So I think I think that has to be a staple in whatever media that you're going to have in telling your Star Wars story. I think it has to be an element. And where I think The Mandalorian has potential is that it comes from the perspective of a character who's not light or dark necessarily, because he doesn't have any knowledge of the Force. And so he's like most characters in at least the original trilogy, where the Force is just kind of like a myth. So I think that there's a lot of potential for kind of exploring that, especially since he gets into some of like the dark, seedy underbelly, and has some moral conflicts. That maybe I think is what, if I have to say in a shorter way, I think what's missing from the show is there aren't a ton of moral conflicts. I think most of it revolves around the Mandalorian and the child, and him somewhat struggling with this desire to like keep the child safe. But I mean, within the first 2 episodes, I mean, he's basically made up his mind, like, yeah, I'm going to protect this kid at all costs, which is great. I love that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so that's like you said, it's not a big moral question. And it's going back to what I said about the commercialization of Star Wars. I mean, it's always been kind of commercialized, even back in my day, the 90s. But that was one thing that kind of turned me off right in the first episode. So you see the reveal of the child, and it's a little baby Yoda, and it's very cute. And I'm like, okay, this could be really cool, but it's also porgs, and I'm just gonna see Baby Yoda all over the internet, all like little plushie dolls, stickers, t-shirts. It's just gonna be all over the place, and I'm not gonna like this show just because the merchandise people want me to think Baby Yoda's cute, and I'm like, oh, he's cute, I'm gonna watch the show. So I don't buy into that stuff at all. You can't just feed me something shallow and I'm gonna go along with it. So me watching the first episode, I'm like, okay, this baby, since it's of Yoda's species, it's got to be Force sensitive. So going into the second episode, I'm like, we're gonna get some big moment where he does something with the Force, and then that's the reveal. And it just took so long to get there because he's like, the Jawas stole my ship, and instead of just killing them, I don't know why he didn't do that, because he's a Mandalorian. And he spent the first episode shooting up everybody in the bar. So I'm like, he's just going to go kill this thing to trade his items back that he already owned? An assassin is going to do this? What? that's kind of what one thing that I thought would have been cool about the show is like since it's not a Jedi and doesn't have like moral quandaries to think about, like he's gonna be like rootinest tootinest popping off on people, and I thought it might be a little edgier. It's not as edgy as I thought it was gonna be, but you know that's fine. It's Star Wars, but so that didn't even make sense to me to begin with. Like, why is he just not killing these guys? That's what I would do probably.
If you were him.
If I were a Mandalorian and I could kill anything except probably Jedi, because good luck Jango Fett. Yeah, I would definitely like I'm not gonna let these little 2-foot guys bully me out of my spaceship.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think it would have been a cool direction to take it a little bit.
So it just felt like slowing down the plot for no reason because I already knew that the whole point of the episode was, oh, we have to find out that the child is force sensitive. And then once we got there, I don't know, that just really killed my momentum for wanting to watch the rest of the show. So then I guess I got to go into the conversation with Jim. So Jim the S tier guy.
Yeah.
So I was chatting with him and I told him that my reasons for not wanting to watch the show and why I wasn't liking it, and he actually suggested to me that the Mandalorian works almost better as a third part series of like Clone Wars to Rebels, and then you watch Mandalorian, and that I should watch even of the first two, Clone Wars and Rebels. He told me I should mostly just watch Rebels. Because Clone Wars has a lot of like filler and stuff. I would love to watch Clone Wars, but just the important stuff. Because I watched that, and it was like the second episode again, where Yoda's going around and he has to like teach the clones the meaning of patience or whatever. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. It's a kid's show, but like, come on. So I just have this thing with shows sometimes. So, but I know all this cool stuff with Darth Maul and everything happens in the Clone Wars, and I really want to watch that, but I just need someone to make a list, like, only watch this for that plot
That
line.
list exists, by the way.
I'm going to find it then.
Yes.
Yeah. So, anyway, at Jim's suggestion, I actually watched Rebels. I watched the first maybe 2 or 3 episodes, and in the first, 22 minutes, which was just the first episode, I was way into Rebels. I was like, this is really cool. I'm into this character. I get the relationship between the guys already. It felt like I got so much more story content that I didn't get in 2 hours of Mandalorian, and so I actually am really excited to continue watching that and see how that shakes out because it was a pretty cool plot. But then I was like, well, I might see Jim sometime because he works at the comic book store. That's where I see him. So if I'm buying stuff, that's where I go. So I was like, I might go to the comic book store tomorrow, so I should watch this. So then I started watching the next episode, and then it just kind of went on from there. And, initially it was just, I'm just got to get through this because it's the first season. What are you looking at?
Oh, sorry. My screen goes dark sometimes, like it's going to sleep, and I have to make sure that it's still recording, so.
Okay, I'm like, pay attention.
I promise, you have my full attention. I just wanted to make sure that my recording software was still going.
Oh, that was funny. Okay, I should make sure mine's still going. Okay, yeah, we're still square.
Okay.
Oh gosh. All right, so thank Jim for getting me to watch this again. So I just kind of powered through the rest of the season, and I had another friend actually that I talked to, and he told me not to really expect any big plot points until like the end of the season. I'm like, all right, so I just kind of went for it, and I could kind of see what they were doing with every episode, just being its own little adventure for the most part, and there wasn't really any big like emotional thrust or any plot threads that really needed resolving in the next episode because everything was just kind of disconnected. And I did appreciate how a lot of the characters came back for the last 2 episodes, which was kind of like a big one. It was 1 episode 2-parter. That's what it felt like to me compared to the rest of the series.
Yep.
So I liked how they kind of brought back people. I'm like, okay, I guess they made it this slow so that people could come back in later, but that still I felt like doesn't excuse how just like nonsensical stuff is to me.
Yeah.
Is like there's episode 6 where he goes to and he has to break into the jail with his old crime buddies or whatever. And I remember rewatching the beginning of the episode like twice. Like, did he have a conversation with the child or anything about why he's going to talk to this guy, or is he just doing stuff? Because he's wandering around planets almost aimlessly. The only real reason, I guess, is he's trying to hide from other bounty hunters from killing him and the child. Mm. But there wasn't really any, like, he's not going to find the Dragon Balls. He doesn't have to avenge the list of his father. There's nothing he's doing. He's just, like, chilling, waiting for something. I'm like, and that's so hard for me. I'm like, you're not, there's no quest.
Yeah. That, I think,
hanging out.
I think you could easily eliminate, like, the middle episodes. So
it could have been a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, you could do like 1 and 2, maybe 3, or 1 and 2, and then maybe the episode where they introduce Cara Dune, and then just have the last 2 episodes, and you would probably be fine, if I remember it correctly. But I remember that feeling of kind of like, I wonder when they're all going to get together, because I know they are. They're introducing all these characters, and they all have, different relationships, and there's different conflicts forming, but it's taken a long time, and nothing like significant is manifesting itself. So
yeah, and I felt like, I almost felt betrayed by Dave Filoni, because I'm like, I know you have the chops for like good stuff, but this is just so slow.
Yeah.
And maybe by the time we're in season 4 or whatever, it's going to be so meaningful and really cool. I'll give him credit for that. That could totally happen. I felt though that with the slowness of the first season, it just felt like it felt like a very corporate entity was saying, I know that you people love Star Wars so much, we could just write whatever episode and you're going to watch it just because it's got the SW logo on it. And I don't like participating in that.
Yeah. I don't think I don't think that it's to that level. I think that's what The Last Jedi felt like to me, or Rise of Skywalker. That's what that felt like to me. This didn't feel like that so much. I think it was handled by somebody who really does care about, like you said, he explained the significance of Duel of the Fates, and I know Jon Favreau wrote most of the episodes for the first season, and I think he wrote most of the second season. And I know he's also a huge Star Wars fan. Like he's knowledgeable. He's what I would consider to be like an A tier, maybe an S tier fan. I don't know if he's an S tier fan, but he's knowledgeable enough.
Dave Filoni's S tier, Super Saiyan.
Dave Filoni, yeah. So it was mostly written by Jon Favreau. I know Dave Filoni had a lot of input, so that could be part of the reason why. Maybe they need to get Dave Filoni in the writer's seat more.
Maybe. But even so, with Favreau, I even trust a lot with Star Wars. Yeah. I was just so shaken up and confused. Like, these guys are so good at Star Wars and they love it. Like, why is the show like this?
Yeah, I think
but maybe it'll pay off. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it will pay off. I'm hoping that it will. I think that there's a lot of potential, and what I could see happening is us getting 4 or 5 seasons in and having enough sporadically sprinkled throughout the seasons to just like lump together and have like one really, really good season. Mm-hmm. As long as you understand the context.
Yeah, and that's cool, but for me as someone who, time mm-hmm. in the real world is a resource and it's valuable. Mm-hmm. And so I'm trying to weigh out, is the content and the goodness of whatever story they're cooking up good enough to be worth all the hours you have to put into mm-hmm. it? I don't know. And that's it's like a value proposition I weigh in my mind. That's why it's hard for me to get into TV shows a lot of time. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like this very much. Mm-hmm. To want to put many hours into it. And that's why I tend to prefer watching movies, because even if a movie's lame, it's like, oh, that was just 2 hours. But it's not like 20 hours or 8 hours.
A TV show demands a lot more of your time, for sure. So
yeah,
you want it to be worth it.
You just wait till season 4 of Game of Thrones, and then it'll get good. I'm like, Are you kidding me? I only watched Game of Thrones on a bet.
On a bet?
and I won that bet.
What was the bet?
Yeah. So season 8 had just come out. It was maybe 2 episodes in, and I bet my buddy Zach that he didn't think that I could watch the whole series and catch up before season 8, the last episode aired, and like be ready to watch the final episode live.
Whoa!
And I'm like, bro, you underestimate me. I had a week where I was like dog sitting, so I just took care of the dogs and watched Game of Thrones for like weeks. Yeah. So yeah, I think I had like 4 episodes to spare before season 8 was over.
Yeah.
So, and the bet was $1 for each episode I had to watch, which is like 54 or something.
Whoa, nice.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, for a chunk of change, that's making value out of my time.
That's great.
So, but yeah, no one's paying me to watch Mandalorian, so I'm like,
well, maybe Jim will.
Maybe Jim. Yeah, I have to make a bet with Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's so nice. I don't want to take his money.
Yeah.
He's you would love Jim. He's a very lovely guy.
He sounds like it.
Yeah, he's awesome. So smart, so cool, and he knows Star Wars really well.
I'd love to talk Star Wars with him.
Yeah, I was thinking it'd be fun. I don't know if I ran this by him, but it might be fun to get him as a guest appearance guy on our channel sometime.
That'd be awesome.
Because he'd just be like the expert for us.
Oh, that'd be great. I would love that.
So, yeah. But so anyway, so getting to the end, I watched the whole thing, and I actually was enjoying myself more as time went on, and even though I don't want to buy into the merchandise aspect of Baby Yoda, I do find myself chuckling every time he does something cute, like peeks around a doorway or something. Like, that's a cute little thing. So I'm not heartless. I like stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a lot for me to. I had a lot of mental hoops to jump through to be able to enjoy this show, and so then the last 2 episodes, which is where to me the series could have been episode 1, if you throw in 2 minutes of episode 2 in there, and then go right to the last 3. That would have been fine. You could edit in 2 lines of dialogue about how he knows other people, and it's fine.
Yeah.
And so by that point, I'm like, okay, so he's got to do something now. He's got a call to adventure. Carl Weathers' guy was like, hey, if you come to this planet and we can kill that guy who wants the child, and then you can be free, and like, okay, cool, plot's happening, quest, yay. And then he's got his helpers and stuff, and then he had to work out his feelings with not trusting droids, and then the droid came to help. Like, that was cool. I was really sad that the droid died. I thought that whole sequence might be a reference to Terminator 2 at the end, because he's in lava and sacrificing himself at the end. Yeah, so that's what I thought. But anyway, then I was sad because I'm like, wow, this droid is like the first character I've liked really in this show, and he's gone already. Although I do like Mando. It's funny to me that he's supposed to be like an assassin, but he's so polite with everyone all the time.
Yeah.
Like that. So he's not really a bad guy or anything, and I guess that's the point of the show. But
yeah,
the characterization is really funny to me.
It feels like they go back and forth about it. Like some episodes he does things that are like, oh wow, that was like really brutal, and then other episodes he's like, okay, I'll like go grab your groceries for you or whatever, and let you boss me around. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, what? So
yeah.
I know. So he's a cool guy. I'd go have a cream soda with him sometime.
Blue milk.
Blue milk. I'm assuming it's tasty, so yes.
Excellent.
We'll hit up the cantina.
That's good. Yeah.
So overall, season 1 for me was a bit of a slog to get through, and I just felt like a lot of it was kind of aimless. But now that we have kind of a plot for that was set up for season 2, where he's like, oh, you have to find other Mandalorians so you can find the path to his homeworld. Like, all right, we have a quest now, and now I know we got stakes. We have a mission. We have hints of shadow characters. There's the bad guy with the dark saber. I'm like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it does. I've only seen 3 episodes, but it does feel a little bit like they're getting more. They're getting back to like the serialized stuff, and doing less of the like episodic, self-contained stuff.
Okay, yeah. And again, I don't mind self-contained episodes if they're like really good unto themselves, like Black Mirror. Each episode's really cool.
I just don't think that it's been set up well enough for that. Like he wasn't. I don't think there was. It'd be one thing if it was like, okay, he's a bounty hunter and he's taken on this child, and that's like now he's just a bounty hunter with a kid along, and he just has to like. Each episode's like him going to get a bounty or something. That might work a little bit better because then you're not wondering where it's going. It's like, oh, every episode it's almost like House. House is a doctor. He has a mystery to solve for a diagnosis, and that's just his job. So the Mandalorian, but it's not that. Like the bounty hunter guild like is out to get him after he does this thing. So he can't really go get bounties. He's just on the run. And then at the end, they talk about reforming the Bounty Hunters Guild. And it's like, no, we're not going to do that. I'm going to go and leave. So I think, if they were going to do that, which is, I agree, that's fine. If they were going to do it, they should set it up that way. But it doesn't seem like they're going that direction. I think season 2, it looks like they're going to go a little bit more heavily into the longer story arc, which...
The quest.
Yes, the quest.
I like quests.
Onward with the quest.
Quest me up, yeah. So, yeah, and then, if I may sneak into season 2 a little bit, I only watched the first episode so far, and I was a little bit like, oh, gosh. He's on some planet, and he's almost for no reason, because now we know he's trying to find Mandalorians.
Yeah.
So at least it has that going for it. But it's like, all right, the whole episode he's got to kill this worm or whatever.
Right.
And I guess that was cool. That was supposed to be Boba Fett's armor that the guy had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you see Boba Fett too in the episode.
You see him?
Yeah, he's the.
Did I fall asleep?
Yeah, he's the at the end of the episode. I think it's at the end. He's a bald guy. He's all scarred up and he's looking into the sunset or something. Turns around.
That was him?
That was Boba Fett, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just supposed to be the guy from... remember the episode Also in the Sand in season 1 where he helps the young bounty hunter?
Oh, yeah. And you thought he just like
so
some
I thought
old badass grizzled vet.
Yeah, so at the end of that episode, there's the girl's body because she died, and then some shadowy figure goes to get it or something. Right, yeah. I thought it was that guy because I thought they were on the same planet.
Yeah, I gotcha.
That's all on Tatooine.
That is all on Tatooine, yeah. So they are on the same planet,
yeah.
But yeah.
So I thought it was that guy. Boba Fett did not click to me at all.
Oh, yeah. Boba Fett. For sure, Boba Fett. I don't know if they'll bring him back and do anything with him. I'm sure they will.
Oh, that's weird.
But, yeah.
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 Wow. All right, we're going to have to do a video for season 2 because I'm like, Boba Fett's alive. I had no idea that guy was alive.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to see the next couple episodes. I will warn you. I'll be that friend that warns you for season 2. There are a couple episodes that are more filler than plot.
Great.
So you might have to endure a little bit more.
Okay. Filler is okay as long as... Yeah, I'm more okay with filler when I know the quest is happening. In season 1, I had no idea what anything was leading toward. I'm like, why are we just hanging out with weird animals? Yeah. I don't care about this.
Yeah.
So I think overall season 2 is going to be a lot more bearable for me. I'm going to be way more into it. I've kind of bonded with characters now that they've made moral choices at this point. So, yeah, so it's cool. And that is my thoughts on that.
Great. I love it. Well, I'm excited.
Gosh, all the Star Wars people hate me. They're never going to watch the channel again. I'm sorry, guys. I have mad respect for all the Star Wars fans. Yeah. And whatever you're into, that is cool. It doesn't mean it has to be for me.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just misunderstanding. I could grow to like more stuff. I could grow to like C-3PO, maybe. I always did tell people I gave C-3PO the most improved award in Rise of Skywalker.
You did, yes.
Because he was a bro in that
Yeah.
one.
You have a caveat that we'll throw in towards the beginning of this episode that you might be particularly hard on the Mandalorian, so beware, Mandalorian fans.
But I'm only hard on it because I trust like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau so much that I'm like what are you guys doing? But I'm hoping, I fully expect for them to win my heart over, and then I'll buy all the merch. I'll get Baby Yoda tattoos. I don't know, like Favreau forever on my arm.
I love it. I'm gonna hold you to it.
Oh man, don't hold me to that. But I could be converted. Okay, I'm not a hope. I'm not a lost.
You're not
cause.
a lost cause. Jaron's not.
I'm not.
He's not always like this, guys.
Yeah, I just might be going the Vader route for a while, and then like maybe I just need my son to love me, and I come back to the light side of Star Wars.
You do embody the inner struggle of good and evil and all that other stuff. You're
True, yeah.
Star Wars incarnate.
Okay, so I think that's pretty much going to cap off the review. Do you have any other final thoughts to add?
No, I think I track with a lot of your criticisms. I think we probably agree on pretty much all of it. I think it just maybe affected you more and your enjoyment of it more than it did me. And I was able maybe to look past some of that stuff to enjoy it. But for the most part, I think we agree.
Okay.
I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm not in a place where I have to watch it. But we're gonna all get together, my wife and I and a friend of ours who has Disney Plus, the same friend, and we're all gonna watch it on Friday, the three of us.
All right.
Yeah.
May the force be with you then.
And also with you.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Like and subscribe if you like what we're doing, or if you have any suggestions or feedback for us. We are definitely open to improving and stuff, because we like we always say, we just love talking about movies and shows now. We're kind of passionate about it, so we just like sharing that with everybody, and we want to make sure as we're sharing, we do a good job for all you people. So let us know what to do. Lucas, anything to add? Close us out.
No, that's it. Love to hear from you guys. Thanks for watching.
All right. Have a good one.
Peace.